This is viewers cringe as Rebel Wilson hosts the BAFTA award ceremony. I made Miracle and Hannah Claire watch this.
I don't like this.
I made them watch this.
Yeah, Brett does occasionally send out homework assignments as some behind the scenes stuff, but this was a urgent do not show up to record without having watched
I was like, you have to watch the cringe. I got secondhand cringe for the people watching this, and I don't think this is Rebel Wilson's fault. I think the jokes were horrible, and she knew the jokes were horrible, and she looks visibly uncomfortable as she's making the jokes in this segment. I wish I could play it for you, but if you guys just go, if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching this, pause it and go and watch the her initial BAFTA intro speech or whatever, where she does like a monologue, and
her BAFTA opening monologue.
Yes, she looks really uncomfortable the whole time. Like she knows that these jokes aren't going to hit.
I don't think she looks uncomfortable the whole time, but I do think there are moments. She doesn't always have confidence in this. I don't know if you want to explain what happened a little bit before I give you a take.
Well, no. So it says viewers. Here's what I want to talk about. I got different articles from different people, and basically the idea is like these people thought she was trying to be Ricky Gervais, which only Ricky Gervais can be Ricky Gervais. Other people thought that she was just trying to be generally funny. And then I have this article from the Daily Mail where they talk about her lecturing people. So it's like, who is she? Are they trying to be counterculture? Are they trying to be culture? When you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And that's what I think happened here. So it says, Rebel Wilson hosted the BAFTA Awards ceremony in the UK and has not gone down well with people on social media, while the crowd of A-listers inside Royal Albert Hall chuckled with delight at each of the Aussie stars' punchline. Okay, that is a heavy interpretation of what I assumed, what I interpreted as very, very tepid humor, or tepid laughter.
Yeah, I did too.
There was no chuckling with delight. There was a
chuckle, but in the polite laughter. We know we're supposed to be laughing, but we don't totally feel the urge.
It was like two claps and then they stop before the
or they'd pan to people's faces and they make like the half round I don't know what to say here.
I don't know, but I'm also disturbed that she was throwing bras everywhere.
I didn't see that.
I only watched
it's that video where Gaga posted it on Twitter. If you watch it real quick, it's kind of weird and cringy. Like she's just throwing bras.
I do want to point out that she looks fantastic, and
she referenced her weight loss, and that was a big part of the stick, which I think also
which became a joke about J.K. Rowling, which became a dig at trans stuff.
I don't.
So
none of it is great.
Is she trying to make a trans fat joke?
I think part of it is, and I pose this question to both of you seriously. When did the opening monologue of award shows have to become comedic? When did that become the standard? And do you think that there are any alternative types of hosts that the media will accept?
I feel like it started with Ricky Gervais, right?
No, there's always been.
What about Tina Fey and Amy
Poehler? The jokes should be more.
But does it have to be comedic is what I'm saying.
No, it doesn't have to. But like a lot of them, like how you pointed out.
By tradition, it does.
Yeah.
They try to make it funny.
See, I think that's maybe worth moving away from. You and I were talking about this a little bit before, but I actually think Rebel Wilson is very talented. I think she's very smart. And she mentioned her weight loss, so I'll bring it up here. Having lost a lot of weight, I'm sure she is trying to understand what her role is in the industry now. She even made a joke about, which I thought was like, again, it wasn't like hold my gut and laugh funny, but it was like, oh yeah, I get what you're saying, that she maybe now can be cast as like the leading love interest as opposed to the quirky sidekick.
Yes.
In that sense, I think maybe as a comedian, and she was always a comedic actress, not actually a comedian as far as I know. Like she seems to be struggling to find where her humor is, and that is a challenge. Like comedians spend a long time cultivating what their repertoire is, right? Yeah.
And when you completely change visually your aesthetic, it's going to change what your humor is. I did just watch the thing. She hands this guy a bra, and I just want to know who the writer was like, okay, here's what we're going to do, right? And you're going to like hand this person
because everyone loves prop humor.
Yes. So James Dwyer says, don't know who thought Rebel Wilson hosting the BAFTA 2022 was a good idea, but they need stacking.
I think they just think, oh yeah, she's funny, but like again, there's a difference between like an actual comedian versus like a comedic actress who can both be very talented but like not the same thing.
Yeah. So it says,
I don't know, at least she's better than Amy Schumer. I do not like Amy Schumer.
She kicked things off with, in a very formal way by walking through the audience and singling some people out. As Rebel approached Coda star Amelia Jones, the Aussie joked, "I'll give you the award for the person in the crowd Leonardo DiCaprio would find the most attractive. He does like them young." Okay, that was like the closest they got to trying to be like Ricky Gervais humor. But it's like they're pulling their punches. It's like you can't play, but in this type of humor,
Also, that's such a played out joke.
It takes more finesse to work both sides of the aisle and make fun of everybody.
Well, and like, why does Rebel Wilson care who Ricky Gervais is dating? Like,
Leonardo DiCaprio's dating, yes.
Whoever.
More,
Does she care?
more aptly, why does whoever wrote these jokes for her care?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, comedic branding has to be true to the person. So I get why they had to talk about her weight loss. I wish they didn't, but like,
it makes me
that
wonder
just
if
feels
Gervais
random.
actually wrote his jokes for that famous 2020 award ceremony, and I believe that he did. But it's like we're still being sold counterculture just by the way that he was allowed to make that presentation and make those jokes, and it still somehow ended up online as like the full monologue. You're being sold a form of counterculture without even realizing it. Like there's a YouTuber I was watching. He was talking about. He's like, I remember being back in like watching stuff back in the day, and like movie like rock and roll bands like scared me because I'm like, look at these guys. They're in their leather jackets and they're looking all cool. I'm like, that's literally a bunch of grown men who got a call time to go to a shoot where they had to shoot this video to look cool. You're literally being sold counterculture by a corporation. Now you're being now it's being done just more sneakily.
yeah, I go back and forth on that because, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. On the other hand, like, when you want to be a successful rock and roll person and make money, you do have to comply a little bit with, like, you know, you have to produce your music videos somehow. A lot of bands who are super into the counterculture, I think of, like, if there are someone out there, not me, who can name a ton of underground grunge punk bands who are extremely
Who would
talented.
call you sold out if you went and had the
Also,
money.
who could never get organized enough to like manage a record deal or
Exactly.
tour. Like there's two sides to that sword. I think Ricky Gervais talking about counterculture was like fine and necessary. I just think that like we never then managed to come up with anything new, and it's like there's no refreshing take. That's why I asked, do we have to have a comedic opening to this ceremony? Could we have someone else do it in a way that's pleasant and entertaining? I mean, like, can we have someone who's super dignified do it and bring some like honor back to these proceedings in a way that might make people be like, oh, this is kind of a big deal.
It would have to be done in a way that doesn't seem self-aggrandizing for the industry. Because people are just going to think they're patting themselves on the back.
It
People
still
already
seems
think
like that's
what
me
they're
with
doing.
a stupid comedic opening that wastes time.
So I did find it funny that in one of the articles, now I don't know if it's this one that I read, listed it as surprisingly apolitical. The award show, not that presentation, but they said the award show as a whole was surprisingly apolitical. But then every other article that I found talked about, and this is literally from the Daily Mail, it says, an orgy of the woke elite, viewers hit out at entitled movie stars lecturing over Ukraine, J.K. Rowling, and James Bond in wokest BAFTA awards.
Maybe that person was like, they did not hit it hard enough. Or they were like, it's going to be worse, and it wasn't as bad as they thought. The person who said it was surprisingly apolitical.
Yep. The politically charged show returned after a 2-year delay with Wilson giving Vladimir Putin the middle finger. Oh, God.
No, apolitical.
That is the lamest of virtue signals, my friend. Like, if you want to go to Russia and give him the middle finger, I will give you a...
Also, like, I am on trend with what you guys all think I should be saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I support the current thing.
I'm not against, I think I've tried to say this on the show before, but like, if you are a person with influence or fame who like does have a political cause you really believe in, like, go for it. Cool. But like, stop just saying like, oh, I noticed we're all talking about this, so I will weigh in now that we have collectively as a society decided what the right opinion is.
Yep. So it always comes off as disingenuous. Like the celebrities who had causes back in the day, it was so much more authentic. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just as fake back then, but now it seems like so many of them have these pet causes that all are vaguely defined, and they're all just like vaguely social justice, vaguely this, vaguely that, when really it just feels like my agent said I need to say this to stay.
Yeah, and like there is a quality, like I do think that it's worth doing something, you know, someone who's a narcissist who wants to tell you what things they're doing, who still ends up donating a lot of money to a cause that needs it, like, it's not great, but like at least there is something happening for the cause. Like, but ultimately, like, it's probably a better value to not have to tell you all the time how good you are, right? Or all the wonderful things you're doing. And like, there's an element of this that like, if you really were interested in this, would you do it behind closed doors. And I think for some of these people, no.
They would not. Yeah. So it says the comment was apparent dig at J.K. Rowling's view on gender. They talked about she talked about Rebel Wilson talked about her body transformation and said I hope J.K. Rowling still approves, which is very clearly a dig at J.K. Rowling for her ideas on gender identity and biological sex and stuff like that.
Are we still mad about this?
Yes, people are still mad about this. The author Okay, so then they talk about anybody who's watching something like this knows about J.K. Rowling and her issues with that community. We won't get into that, but remember, somebody said this was surprisingly apolitical. And it goes on later in the ceremony, Emma Watson appeared to take a swipe at the author. So poor J.K. Rowling just can't have her own opinion.
Where she said, like, I'm there for all the witches or something?
Yes. Also, it says Rebel joked about much speculation about so they talked about her becoming James Bond. That was like the cringiest part to me, but also like the least annoying part.
That one I was sort of okay with because it was just like
it was so ridiculous.
It is a little bit funny how like obsessed people are with the new James Bond and how like the longer it becomes unclear, even if they're like, oh, this is the front runner, they're like, but maybe anyone could do it.
Yeah. So they're talking about all of their causes and stuff.
I wish she had made. She walked right up the line and didn't quite execute a like British Commonwealth joke where she was like, "Why is an Australian hosting this?" Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
like
man,
you could have done something funnier there, but
they're not allowed to, man. There's we might talk about it tomorrow, but John Cleese made a very very saucy comment.
Oh
today.
yeah, I was thinking about covering this on site.
I don't even
think it's saucy. It makes perfect logical sense.
It is, but what I wanted to point out was like if you look up the articles covering it, they're so hyperbolic.
They're super mad about it.
Yep.
So just for reference, John Cleese suggested that British people get reparations from Italy because at one point they had been invaded by Italy and stuff like that. And that's historically accurate. And also people don't believe in European, like the thing about, I'll just talk about it. And
this was at South by Southwest.
And like the thing is like Europe is actually like not a global majority population. It's considered one of the global minorities.
Yep.
And so in that sense, like because European has colonialism and like Brett is like, please stop talking.
No.
But like, because there is so much history in Europe that people like forget because they are often depicted as a global oppressor, which I'm not justifying everything in the whole world. Like they forget there is inter-conflict between European countries.
And my point is that if you look at this, and then if you look at the back and forth that he did not just make John Cleese didn't just make that statement randomly. He was having like a back and forth with another person at South by Southwest. Hollywood, these industries are addicts. They're addicted to divisive identity politics, and they are crackheads that need to wean off it somehow. Somebody needs to make like a identity politics or social commentary Suboxone for them so they can go on the taper and get the hell off the rhetoric because they're crackheads. They can't, as an addict in recovery, I know what an addict looks like, and that's what these people are. They're addicted to the drama. They're addicted to the divisive nature of everything they're discussing because it makes them feel good about themselves.
But have you read the reports that have come from like the declassified internal State Department reports that are like China and Russia are both sort of like, yeah, we're going to let America do this because it's ultimately going to be their undoing. Like they're so obsessed with identity politics that they're going to eat them. Like they're going to eat each other alive and collapse. And that's going to be fine for us. And it's like, this is how other global powers view us. And we're still like, no, we must be obsessed with this. Everything we're doing is right.
Desperate need to prove that you're more virtuous than the Twitter user next to you. Desperate need to prove that you care about more people because people that care
online, not in a real life.
Never in the real world.
No, the military is doing the same thing. Like, I just watched a video where they're reviewing like all the 2022 liberal memes, and like right now the army is like basically telling people like every morning drill they have to practice like proper pronouns. Like So like the day
Military
then,
leaders across the world are obviously shaking in their boots.
Yes.
I know.
So
oh my God, we're
this
so woke.
This is fairly off
Brownie
topic,
points.
but I mean the military. I don't care about that. I care about these people because these
Yeah.
people, like, whenever we talk about these issues, and we Tim talks about politics, and I was like, but you don't get people through the politics. These are the people that reach the next generation.
That's
These
true.
are the
That's scary.
terrifyingly the talking heads that, like, for all you want to talk about the news cycle and how little people watch the news. Yeah, that's fine. But these people parrot the same beliefs as every news site, and they have hundreds of millions of followers.
CNN has produced its worst ratings that it has in a long time. It
Does not matter as long as these people believe it.
But what I was going to say is, like, but people aren't. We've talked about this before. People aren't tuning into award show. Her first joke of the night was like,
but they're talking about it on social media.
hold on. Her first Rebel Wilson's first joke of the night was like, "This is the very last BAFTA,"
Yeah.
and like they are becoming aware of the fact that like their monuments to their own success are no longer interesting to the general public. Yeah, they're talking about it on social media, but like you have pointed this out before, like none of these people are people that I follow or interested in. Like, yeah, there's some backlash to it. Some people are saying that they didn't like it. Some people are saying that she was good. Like, yeah, but it'll be gone in by next week. We won't care about this. One of the reasons we still talk about
One of
the reasons we still talk about Ricky Gervais's monologue is because it was so different and it struck a chord with so many people who are choosing to turn these things off.
Yes.
I just think that, like, you are totally right. This culture is extremely important and what they're talking about has major influence, but this moment where Rebel Wilson is like, this could be the last one, shows a weird self-awareness because she didn't write that joke.
Yep.
That like this time of obeying is maybe falling apart.
Yeah.
I do wonder, as much as these shows do bad, how are these things live streamed? Does anybody know if these are live streamed? I wonder if they get if the views are made up for in like people watching because people don't care about the award ceremony anymore. It's like people who watch the Super Bowl only for the commercials. There's probably people that tuned in just to watch the monologue for these things.
No,
to
they're
see
not
if it's any
live
good.
streamed. So basically what they do is it's like how like Tim uploads on timcast.com. It's like live stream first, but for them, like, nobody sees it, only the audience members who actually
It's recorded.
Yeah,
live.
and then it's recorded and then posted at a later time, a set time for everybody.
So it's not live streamed.
Well, but I'm saying, but it is produced and shown live on the internet.
Yeah.
Live meaning that it's debuted on the internet, and how many views does that get? How many views does each of these segments get? I'm saying it's still getting seen. It's just not all correlated down into Nielsen data that used to be your number one way of figuring out how to figure out what people were watching and what people weren't. Did it dominate the public conversation on Twitter, which is where these people go to talk about stuff, as evil as I think Twitter is?
But I think last week's Kim Kardashian start working comment is getting more attention than this. That's still being responded to. This will die away.
These people, the problem is that these people hold these views, and they're going to continue to talk about them in various interviews, in ones that get more views, ones that get less. The topics will be topics of movies that they make, some movies that get more views, some movies that get less, and the culture continues to pile on in this direction, and I really do think that it's bad.
I agree with you that it's bad. I just think that, like, now more than ever, there is a huge movement away from these institutions. So you're right, they will feed culture, but like I think it is significant the fact that like you are maybe not seeing as many views. Like these clips are not going viral. People aren't really sharing these monologues because they're not successful, they're not funny. People
they're hate watching it because they think it's awful.
Yeah, but how often are you going to hate watch something? Like it's not even that funny of a hate watch.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think that there is exodus from being dependent on these things, and while I agree with you it's bad, like I also caution you to watch, see where the alternatives lie, because you and I've talked about this before. Award shows are not a barometer of people's
I don't watch
happiness.
the award. Like I only covered this because I saw this, and then I watched the monologue out of sheer morbid curiosity.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I just found an article that they wrote it yesterday. The BAFTA's 2022 Film Awards failed to dazzle with an average just of 2.4 mil.
I don't know what their yearly.
I mean, there are
average is,
YouTube
but
videos that make more, that get more views than that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't like. I phrased it wrong. Thank you for correcting me earlier, Hannah Claire. I mean, like,
Sorry,
it's
I just needed
recorded.
clarification.
Yeah. So it's recorded before, and then it's released to everybody. So they have a set time for every coastal area. I know, like the West Coast and East Coast in America, it's like two different set time periods.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.